Presidential candidate and U.S. Senator Kamala Harris launching a new plan to close the gender wage gap.
People are working. They're working 2 and 3 jobs to put food on the table. In our America, nobody should have to work more than 1 job to put food on the table and have a roof over their head.
And this proposal is making headlines tonight for its get tough approach. Harris would force corporations to prove they're paying equally across genders or face public shaming and strict fines from the federal government. I'm joined now by 2020 candidate, Senator Kamala Harris. Thank you.
Good to be with you.
Thanks for being here. Absolutely.
Hi, Ari.
Hi. Let's start with this. What does your plan do to combat the gender pay gap?
Well, first of all, it is just a fact, right? So the reality of it is that we don't have to debate the point, which is that on average, women make 80 cents on the dollar to men. If you're talking about African-American women, it's 61 cents. If it's Latinas, it's 53 cents. So there is an obvious issue that we have around not only disparities, but fairness and equal pay for equal work. So let's get beyond that because it's not a debatable point. The question becomes, what are we going to do about it? And I think the goal, we would all agree, should be that people should be paid equally for equal work. But we haven't yet reached that point. We're going to have to create incentives to get there. So what I am proposing is that we shift the burden away from that working woman and instead onto that corporation to prove that they're paying people equally. Because here's the reality of it, Ari. Every day in America, there are women who are, hanging out at the water cooler with one of their colleagues who works in the cubicle right next to them, does the same work they're doing. And then they might start talking about what they got their kids for Christmas or, what the new car is or the new washing machine they bought. And it becomes clear to that woman they're not getting paid the same amount. So then what does she do? She'll go to the supervisor, are we getting paid the same amount? And the supervisor is likely to tell her we can't disclose salaries of other people. So then what is she supposed to do? Well, she can go and complain to the EEOC. She can try and do her own work to investigate the salaries. She might, take it as far as litigation to sue. But why should she and have the burden on her to figure out that she is not being paid the same amount? That should be the business of the leaders of these corporations.
Let me dig in on that exact point, because you call that the burden. And this was something that President Obama was working on with Congress. Let's take a look at that when they passed the Ledbetter Act.
Yeah.
Lily could have accepted her lot and moved on. She could have decided that it wasn't worth the hassle and the harassment that would inevitably come with speaking up for what she deserved. But instead, she decided that there was a principle at stake, something worth fighting for.
I thought it was interesting reading your plan today. You say that's a fine little start, but it shouldn't take, as you say, years for the burden to be on individuals to sue. Why is it important to you to have the government step in here?
Well, first of all, I applaud the Obama administration, President Obama, and Lily Ledbetter herself, who I've met, for the extraordinary leadership that she and they provided on the issue. But it is time to take it to the next step, which is to shift the burden away from that woman to prove that she's not being paid the same amount, and instead put the onus on the corporations to prove that if they're a good business, they're doing the right thing, which is to pay people equally for equal work. So that's what we're requiring. And what will end up happening is that you called it a shaming. I don't think of it that way, but what we will require is that they do an analysis. But you don't think
it's a good thing. You've got this plan here where you're going to make them put up in public what they're doing, or if they're failing. Wouldn't that be a shame if they were failing?
Well, of course it would, but I think of it as creating positive incentives. And
okay.
But I'm going to tell you why, Ari. I'm going to tell you why. Because listen, when they know that they're going to have to start reporting publicly, there may be some that have not looked into this, but there are some who have. I mean, you look, Salesforce is doing a great job. Microsoft has been doing a great job. Target is doing a great job.
Well, but let me press you on an example. Have you been out in some of these cities like New York where they'll put up the A or the B or the C for the food?
I have, and I keep walking, just walk right by anything that less than an A.
If you get too far down the grading, there is a bit of a shame in that, whether that's something important.
Well, and there will be a consequence, but there should be a a consequence, Ari, there should be a consequence to the corporation if they're not paying people equally for equal work. Women deserve to be paid as much as men, and they are not.
Right.
And this has not changed over decades. And so we're going to have to change the way that we're approaching the issue. And the way that I'm proposing we change it is that the corporations have to make it their business to investigate and do an analysis of how they're paying people. And then they have to report that information. And then that woman, or even man, and anybody,
right,
when they're
gender,
applying
so
to work,
unfair.
But whoever is applying for a job with that business, or might be a consumer of the products of that business, they can look up the rating of that corporation and make a decision about whether they want to encourage good or bad behavior.
Now, one more thing on the details, if you don't mind me nerding out
let's
deep,
get into it,
deep into
please.
the written plan.
Yeah.
You have a 1-for-1 thing where you say, okay, 1% off.
Right.
If you're 1% off gender parity, you're going
Right.
to give up 1% of your profits.
That's exactly right.
Now, I want to get your answer on the record. You know, people say things about you as a candidate. One of the things sometimes they say is, oh, well, is she quote unquote bold enough?
Okay.
Now, I don't know what that really means.
I don't either.
But I looked at 1-for-1 and I thought, that's really bold. I mean, am I to read that if a company has a 15% pay gap, which some do, as you just were telling us, they're going to give up 15% of their profits?
There will be fined 15% of their profits from that previous year. Yes.
So that's
That
a
is
lot.
right.
I mean, are you hearing about that from your donors, from Wall Street? Is that for real, I guess is what I'm asking.
It is for real because, look, Ari, it's for real that that woman is getting paid 80 cents on the dollar. It's for real that that other woman is getting paid 61 cents on the dollar. It's for real that that other woman is getting paid 53 cents on the dollar and is sitting at her kitchen table in the middle of the night trying to figure out how she can pay her bills when she wakes up at the same time the next morning as the guy who's working in the cubicle next to her. She performs the same work, but she's not getting paid the same amount. That's for real, too.
Very, very strongly put and very interesting. I want to get you on some of the other breaking news.
Okay.
You have Michael Cohen telling Congress that the president's lawyer told him to lie to Congress. Do you believe that? And if so, what do you want to do about it?
I think it is something that we should investigate. I think that that folks need to respond to subpoenas and show up before the United States Congress so that we, in our capacity of oversight, can figure out what's going on. I have been very clear. I think that there's no question that the Mueller report outlined what are and could have been indictable offenses, but they were not. There was no indictment returned because I believe there was they leaned on the Office of Legal Counsel's memo. And there's a lot of work to be done to let the American public know what really happened.
Did the president commit obstruction?
Well, there's certainly, when you look at the outline of what's in the Mueller report, there's good reason to believe that he did. And we need to let Congress do its job to be on the course of figuring it out and then responding to the American public.
I want to get you on several other breaking items.
Okay.
Attorney General Bill Barr, who you've tangled with, just gave a new interview to the Wall Street Journal, follows up on his Fox News interview. To the Journal, he says there's a reason he's doing all this, even if it looks very protective of Trump. He says, quote, "I felt the rules were being changed to hurt Trump, and I thought it was damaging for the presidency." And here, moments ago, was Donald Trump coming out from the White House making a very similar claim on why they're stonewalling Congress. Take a look.
Well, as I understand it, they're doing that for the office of the presidency for future presidents. I think it's a very important precedent. And the attorneys say that they're not doing that for me. They're doing that for the office of the president.
Is this for the office of the presidency, in your view?
I believe that Attorney General Barr has proven himself to believe his first duty is to this president and not to the American public. And I believe, and I think there's clear proof that he is making decisions with that priority and not with the priority of being the people's lawyer, not with the priority of running the United States Department of Justice, which should fight for justice for all people and not justice for the president to the exclusion of the American public.
I wonder what you thought of his Fox News interview, which had several remarkable claims. Let's play a few for your reaction. Take a look.
we should be worried about whether government officials abuse their power and put their thumb on the scale. And so I'm not saying that happened, but I'm saying that we have to look at that, and to have opposition research like that, especially one that on its face had a number of clear mistakes, to use that to conduct counterintelligence against an American political campaign is a strange, would be a strange development. If you were the president, I think you would view it as a witch hunt and a hoax.
Your response?
I think that we all know that there has been an obstruction of justice, clearly, that there is good reason to believe that this administration has not been forthcoming with the United States Congress or with the American people. I believe that it is also clear that this Attorney General is not equipped to speak about what is biased or unbiased behavior when he has clearly demonstrated his bias in favor of the president and not in favor of justice.
And so when you lay it out like that, and I think many people were struck by your very precise lawyerly questioning of Mr. Barr and his inability to give straight answers to some of that under oath, why is it, in your view, that we have not seen Mr. Mueller come and speak before, say, your Senate Judiciary Committee? What is going on there? And is that, at the end of the day, something that it really falls to the Democrats, or is Mr. Barr lying when he says he's not preventing that testimony?
I honestly don't know, Ari, but I strongly believe and have said continuously that Bob Mueller should be able to come before the United States Congress and tell us why he concluded his investigation the way he did. I think those of us who have been prosecutors, those of us who have read the OLC, the Office of Legal Counsel advisory opinion, are pretty clear. The almost 1,000 former employees of the United States Department of Justice, pretty clear that these were indictable offenses, and but for the Office of Legal Counsel's opinion, they would have been charged. So we need to have Bob Mueller come and clear that up for the American public. But even if he doesn't, Ari, I think everyone's pretty clear about this. I really do. When you look at that letter and you look at a bipartisan group of almost 1,000 former prosecutors who worked as professional lawyers doing the work of justice with the United States Department of Justice, and they have said openly and quite courageously that these were indictable offenses, I think we should take them at their word. You've
also been speaking about abortion and women's rights.
Yeah.
As have your other candidates here in this race. Do you see that as an issue where there's any difference in the field? For example, Senator Joe Biden also served on the Judiciary Committee in which you're on. He voted to confirm Scalia to the court. Was he wrong to do that? Would you do that? Is there a difference there, or are you all basically the same on those Roe v. Wade issues?
I mean, I haven't done a full analysis of where the various candidates are, but I'll tell you, what happened in Alabama, what might be happening in Missouri and Georgia, there is a full-on attack on women and their access to reproductive health care, and we are going to have to be vigilant, and we're going to have to fight. And I'm traveling the country, as you know, and women and men are outraged and concerned and in fear about the consequences of these laws that are being passed that are unconstitutional, but also are clearly designed with the spirit of taking away a woman's right to make decisions about her own body. You'll recall, you want to talk about hearings, you'll recall the Kavanaugh hearing, when I asked him, well, are there any laws that tell a man what he should do with his body? There are so many fundamental issues at play right now, and we're going to all have to be vigilant. I've been proud to do what we can to encourage people to support the folks on the ground in Alabama around getting resources for the women who are there and getting resources for the advocates who are there to support them. This is a critical issue.
And I'm thinking about the arc here. We started with some of your plans on gender parity in economics. Now we're talking gender parity in rights and medical decisions. I want to fit in a very quick 30-second break, as we do on The Beat, and come back with more, including our lightning round with Senator Harris in 30.
Okay.
me as U.S. Senator and 2020 candidate Kamala Harris. Thanks for waiting for the 30, along with, I hope, most of the viewers listening to you. Before the lightning round, one more topic that you've worked a lot on, but there's a big debate on, which is what's the best way to deal with police shootings and alleged police brutality. And you've been very clear as a prosecutor about wanting to stand up and deal with that. But you've also taken, at times, a different view than some. I want to read something you said when there was reform proposals to have independent investigations. And you said, quote, "I don't think it would be good public policy to take the discretion from elected DAs where there are abuses. We've designed the system to address them." As you know, in the wake of many of these incidents, the view is by some that the independent probes are better, to not let the DA investigate the cops they work with daily. Have you changed your mind about that, or what is the best approach?
I believe the best approach is to have independent investigations. There's no question.
So I wonder what moved you to change your mind. Was it some of these cases you saw?
Well, if you have the time, Ari, I can explain. When I was district attorney of San Francisco, I had a case where I refused to seek the death penalty. And there were people who didn't agree with my decision and wanted to take the case from me. And so I had a very real personal experience where I had to fight to keep my case. And my argument was that I was elected to exercise my discretion and no one's going to take my case from me. And that, frankly, it was that personal experience that informed my principle, which is that these cases shouldn't be taken from the person who was elected to exercise their discretion. But on the issue, but this is a different issue.
Right.
This is an issue that is about what we need to do when it comes to these shootings, and I think we are all very clear that there's got to be an independent investigation conducted from the first moments of the incident, so that we can be certain and sure that there has been a thorough investigation that is not informed by bias, and so that there will be justice for all of the people concerned. So I am absolutely a proponent of that.
A lot of experience on this. I want to do a lightning round with you, which we do in all fairness to all candidates. So we go.
Okay, but can I go back to one thing and then I'll do the lightning round?
I just dropped my lightning. We got so excited. Yes, of course. One more thing before. I don't know.
On the earlier point, I want to emphasize also that the pay equity issue, the issue about women's right to choose, it's about women's value. It's about the value of women. That's you know, if you want to find a line of symmetry, it's about giving women their value, which is about their ability to make decisions about their own body. It's about their right to be paid equally for equal work. Okay, lightning round. I'm ready.
All right, she said lightning round. Hit it. If you could have anyone, living or dead, as your perfect running mate, who would it be?
Muhammad Ali.
Ooh. Muhammad Ali, strong.
How you like that?
I like it. We did read you like to cook. What's the thing that you want to cook when you need to relax or chill?
Oh, roast chicken, no question. I have some herbs in my garden, chop them up, and would chop up some garlic, kind of put it in there, let it sit for a day, roast that up, you know, put a lemon inside, and it's the best dinner and comfort
all
food.
Across America, I can feel people, at least on the East Coast, saying maybe that's what we will cook for dinner tonight. Favorite album?
Oh, favorite album. I think Songs in the Key of Life. Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder. Beautiful album. Do you remember which reggae star you quoted in your announcement speech?
Bob Marley.
Why did you quote "Get Up, Stand Up" in that speech?
Because it was all about saying we got to stand up for our rights. Shall I sing?
Yes, do you want to?
No, I'm not going to do that. I was joking. I don't want to do that to your viewers.
That's fine. You know, Joe Biden said he asked Obama not to endorse him. Is there anyone you're asking not to endorse you, like Oprah or Taylor Swift or George Clooney?
I'm not going to reject those endorsements if they're offered.
You'd take the Obama endorsement if you could get it.
Of course I would.
Interesting. We covered, I think, a lot of ground. You're working on a lot of policy, but also having a little fun with us at the end, which we appreciate. Senator Harris, I hope you'll come back on the beat.
For sure. Thank you, Ari.
Thank you, and we will be right back.